Hi everyone, this is part 4 of developing LangSmith-like observability solutions for LangGraph workflows. In part 3, I explained how we can integrate database with our observability UI solution, where we can save all the runs and later retrieve them also if required. So let's do a very quick recap. So if I try to run this, it is generated the output, the complete trace is also there. And if I want, I can retrieve that later also. But the problem with this is that we are recording it everything in the database, but everything will be manual so far. So we will have to go to the UI and ask a question every time manually, and then it will be recorded in the database. But what if we have a list of questions, a long list of questions that we want to ask, and we want to record the traces for every question? For that, we might need a solution that can batch process that input file. In this case, maybe this Excel file. I have listed some small list of questions because so that I can try to run it and show the output to you also. But in practice or in production, we might have a long list of questions when we are developing the solution, maybe 100 questions or so. So it is not feasible to ask 100 questions manually and recording their traces or recording their flow. Okay, so I have developed a solution on top of an existing solution, which will take this input file and do a batch run. It will automatically run all these questions on the application and save everything in the database. So let's go to the code, how I have developed it. So I have created another method in my app.db.py. So the reason we cannot use existing endpoints is that none of these endpoints are actually generating an output. Okay, so this one is redirecting to a new URL and this one is rendering an HTML template. So they are not sending any output as such. So, but when we use some endpoint as a backend endpoint, we need some output in form of a JSON from there, right? For that reason, I had to create a new method, which will be called batch run, and it will simply take a post request as an input message, and same thing it will do. It will start with collector.reset. It will generate the output from the graph. Then we will do collector.build where the trace JSON will be created. We will add these two information to our JSON. We will do a save run. And whatever trace JSON we have generated, we will send that also as an output by converting that into a JSON. We can send some limited information also, like only run ID, because we anyway have saved everything in the database, and that is where we want to refer it, because looking at a JSON and trying to understand becomes somewhat difficult. But if we are looking at the same information in this form of a UI, then it becomes more intuitive and easy to understand, right? So it is up to us, but for simplicity, I have simply sent the complete JSON so that we can consume whatever information we want to, right? So here I already have a question. So to avoid confusion, I will just delete this DB file so that I can generate and save the output for these 5 questions. Okay, so let me try to rerun this. Okay, so our DB file is newly created now and it is completely blank. So now to use this endpoint, there can be two different ways. One is that we simply, first step will be to import all the necessary libraries. Next will be to call an initDB. Okay, so basically this endpoint will be called in the second method, but in the first method, we don't even need this. We simply need this file, langgraph underscore graph.py file, and the database file also, observability DB file also. From here, we will need this, and from langgraph underscore graph, we would need the graph and the collector. So one way is that we directly use these methods in our Python file, in our Python notebook, and then we generate the final output. So I will show you how it works. Let me import the file, import the necessary libraries. We will do init underscore db. So for that, let me just try to delete this. And the moment I run this, you will see that this database is created, which is blank right now. We will just read the Excel input file. So let me close this because it gives an issue otherwise. Yeah, so we have 5 records in our uh, data frame, which are these and just one column. Okay, so now I will just browse through each record and then My user input will simply be the input field. I will do collector.reset. Then I will generate the result. I will do this. So basically whatever I'm doing here, I will do the same thing in my notebook instead, so that everything is in my control. Okay. So, and then once the output is generated, trace JSON is generated, I will simply call save run. And then I will take the run ID from the trace JSON. And what two information I will save here is final response and run ID. Okay. So let me try to run this and see, let's see how the output looks like. Yeah. So for every question, this is the final response and this is the run ID. Okay. So now my application is running. Let me try to refresh that. So if you see, all those 5 questions are saved in the DB and I can retrieve any one of them that I want. If I want to uh, retrieve a specific one, let's say I want to retrieve this one or maybe third one. Uh, Third one means the one with the ID 3. Okay, sorry, it will, yeah, right. So I don't have to go to the UI here. I can go to the UI also, but if I want to just retrieve this, like all the JSON from for this ID, I can simply just call get run with that run ID and everything will be given to me in the output. But the problem with this is that this is a JSON output. We might not be able to fully understand what is happening. So second way is to run the app. Okay. So my app is already running. I will again get the input file, which is re-imported so that all the previous output generated is not there anymore. Then what I will do, I will simply call this endpoint batch run. I will simply call this to test it. So first let me test and see how it works. Yeah, status is 200. And if I'm just trying to extract the information for this particular run ID, then this is the output from basically, no, sorry, this is the response JSON and this is the response JSON and this is the output URL. So I can directly click on this and I can get the output of this one. Hello API. Let me click on this and show you. Yeah, hello API, it got retrieved already. And since it was a simple greeting input, it only had one node, LLM call, the tool node was not called. Okay. So let me try to run this on the uh, complete data frame also and show you how it works. For before that, let me delete the database so that to avoid confusion. Or maybe I can just run it also because there is a hello API call in between and every new question will be saved after that, right? So which will be saved through this method. Simply, we will create a payload which has a message field. Then we will send the response. We will do request.post to this particular URL, this particular endpoint basically. We will send this payload. The run ID will be, so response will be a JSON, the complete JSON that we have got. And then from that JSON, we will get the final response. We will get the run ID. So in the data frame, what we will do, we will save the final response. But for the output, we will rather save the URL instead of just the ID so that we can simply click on that and then we can open that in the application. So let me try to run this. Yeah, so if you see here, all the input, final responses, and all the URLs for each run, right? So if I take the first one, this is the URL, and this is the one. Hi, after Hello API, this was the first question that was asked, and this has a complete trace. So now in the same application, when we run it, we can use it for batch processing also. Or if we try to use these Python files instead, langgraph underscore graph or observability underscore db.py, then we can create our own custom function and then we can save all the information in our data frame. So whatever suits you best, you can use that. But now we have covered everything in this series from generating from the core logic to developing a UI on top of it, to developing a database on top of it, and to enable batch processing on top of it. So this is the complete series on observability, LangSmith-like observability for LangGraph workflows, which can work for any kind of workflows. We simply have to attach our workflow and then it will start recording the information there. So thank you for watching. Please let me know in comments what other videos you would like to see around AI. And please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.